most likely, so you're putting yourself right there with Detroit within a couple of games of both the wild card and the division. Then you can realistically go, okay, let's get humming and win these games. But as Bruce just pointed out, right now you've got 13 left against those two teams, and only 5 games separates you in the state. Well, 6 in the division and 5 in the wild card, but definitely way less games separated than the games played. So, now you have to go win the games that are left on the schedule. That's it. It's an easy discussion now.
Yeah, that's right. And hopefully those teams are going to take some lumps from some tougher teams on their schedule too. And then when they play each other, to beat each other up a little bit.
Yep. Absolutely. It'll be exciting. Indians off tonight. They get started. I keep mentioning, with Minnesota, I go, that's the trick in this thing. You can't look past them because, as you and I have said a couple of times in the last few weeks, that he's always got that team. Gardenhire's got them ready to go. And they seem to like to play against the Indians, and they like to play spoiler to the Indians. So you've got to go out there and win these games here, and then you get to Houston and Chicago.
Exactly right. So what's going on in Columbus, you're wondering?
That's it, my man. Let's shift gears. Let's talk a little bit about the Buckeyes. A lot going on, man. Preseason rankings come out. I was saying at the beginning of the show, I think you and I are in the same. I think that's one of the most foolish things that gets done every year, and I never understood the concept. I said, okay, as meaningless as NFL preseason is, at least if you ranked all the teams after the preseason, you'd have been ranking them off of some kind of football, whether it was real or not. But the preseason rankings and how, okay, a team's going to climb up from 10 to 1 throughout the season. Well, who the hell put them 10 to begin with? Maybe they were number 1 from the beginning. What is this?
Yeah, the only thing more worthless than preseason rankings is preseason watch lists for Lombardi Award, Davey O'Brien Award, Heisman Trophy, everything else. The watch list. Okay, hey, guys, watch these guys.
How about when they put the list at the end of the season for next year? They'll be like, here's a look ahead. You don't even know who's going to be on the team. We just finished this year, and you're already projecting next year's top 25. Come on, man. But I guess they got to.
Yeah, that's as silly as trying to predict the 32 first-round draft picks next April.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what a joke that always is. Compare the list that you see in September and the list you see on draft day, and they don't normally resemble each other very closely.
All you're doing is taking basically the way the teams ended last season, factoring in any major additions or subtractions, and then re-speculating it out. And like you said, it's never even close by the end of the season to the beginning. A matter of fact, I should go look this up in the next couple of days and see if there's any research. Every year, the preseason top 25 and then the final one, what percentage of the teams are actually in the final 25 that were in the preseason over the course of years, just to show how badly that thing trends, I wonder. Yeah,
one thing Phil Steele always does every year. Now he comes out and his book hits the newsstands in June, late June, early July, and he always predicts. He tries to predict what the preseason voters are going to say. In other words, he'll pick. All right, here's what the AP is going to say on August 28th or whatever, before any games are played. Here's what the preseason top 25 AP is going to look like. And last year, he predicted all 25. He picked 25 out of 25 of the team. Not how they would finish at the end of the year, but what the AP would say at the beginning of the year. And he's picking it about 3 months in advance of that. So he likes to. Well, Phil Steele spends half of his magazine telling you how right he was over the last 5 years, but. He does have a pretty good track record of at least predicting what the media is going to think about the teams. And I will say last year, Phil Steele was the only guy that had Florida State in the top 10 in the country. And none of the other preseason magazines, Lindy's and Athlon's and Sporting News, and these guys have all come out with their predictions. He was the only guy that had Florida State even in the top 10. So he can have that feather in his cap as well.
And this year, of course, going even further than that, it's less meaningful than ever before because everything's all different now, and everybody's wanted for a long time what's coming down the pike here for college football. And I'm not talking about players getting paid. We'll talk about that in a minute. But obviously, you've got the newly revamped postseason breakdown and all of that coming here, and Buckeyes getting ready to roll here. for as meaningless as we just said it was, they've got most places have them number 5. I think the AP had them. I know Sports Illustrated had them number 4. Again, there's so many question marks. We've talked about the Buckeyes here coming in. Braxton Miller, things focused on defensively, and I've seen a lot of people starting to pick up on that narrative about the front of the defense of the Ohio State Buckeyes and putting together that grouping and how they're going to get after the quarterback. Talk to me a bit about that. I mean, I saw Coach Myers saying, "Hey, this may be the best group up there that I've ever had," and that says a lot.
Yeah, the defensive line is by all accounts, the strength of the team. And you got Joey Bosa and Noah Spence at the end, so Spence has to sit out the first couple of games. But they've got some nice players to plug in his place, namely Steve Miller, a kid from McKinley. And then at the tackles, Michael Bennett, who's everybody's first-team All-American and projected as a first-rounder. Playing next to Adolphus Washington, who was a 5-star talent coming out of Cincinnati. So, yeah, those front 4 are big time, and they're deep as well. They've got all kinds of talent behind those kids. Tommy Shutt, I heard Meyer say the other day, who maybe a little bit of a disappointment after being a 5-star kid out of Chicago. I heard Urban Meyer say the other day that Tommy Shutt is their most improved player from last season as of where they stand right now. Donovan Munger from Shaker is making a lot of noise as well as at the defensive tackle. So a lot of depth inside. They've got Michael Hill. They've got Chris Carter there, and lots of depth at the ends as well, where they've got kids like Tyquan Lewis and I guess Jalen Holmes has looked very good as a true freshman. So yeah, tons of talent there. The question marks, of course, are going to be not so much with talent because everybody knows they're loaded on defense, but the scheme. New coordinator Chris Ash. They want to. They know that their front 4 is going to be able to put some pressure on the passer. So the scheme is not going to be. It's going to be press. It's going to be cover 4, and they want to contest every pass. They want to make a play on the football by their pass defenders. And boy, this is it's music to my ears. It's the kind of aggressive approach that I've been hoping for and wanting to see for the longest time, and has been so frustrating the last couple of years to watch what was a defense coordinated by Luke Fickell and Everett Withers not do well and have a porous pass defense and just take talented players like Bradley Roby and kids like that and have them underperform. And I was convinced then, I'm convinced now, that it was a problem with the scheme, not with the talent. There's tons of talent in that defensive backfield. It is young and it is green, but they are supremely talented. Got a couple redshirt freshman corners that are going to be pushing, and Dorian Grant is an all Big Ten caliber corner. Safeties Von Bell and Tyvis Powell. These kids are big and good. So it's going to be a matter of seeing what the scheme looks like and how they're able to coordinate it. How fast can Chris Ash get that defense playing at the level that he wants them to play, and are they going to be playing fundamentally sound, good assignment football? The pass defense could hardly look worse than it's looked in the last couple of years, especially last year when it was just horrendous. And that, to me, is what I'm going to be looking at. They're not going to get a good read on that in the Navy game because Navy is not a passing team, as you know.
Yeah. Triple option.
But it is a team where you're going to have to play that good assignment football and tackle well. This has not been the best tackling defense over the last few years either, and so you need to see some improvement there. But we'll start seeing after that first game, in the Virginia Tech game and the Cincinnati game, Kent State game, how the pass defense is shaping up and how fast that's coming around, because plenty of talent there, but it's working in that new scheme, that press coverage scheme, and the just a more aggressive attitude on defense to get after the quarterback and contest every pass.
No, I'm with you. And it's not just the front 4. I kind of look at it more as the front 7. I like the linebacker core, too. When you look at the big losses defensively, I mean, you hit it. The defensive backfield going to be green because that's where the majority of your bigger losses were. You mentioned Roby, you got Barnett and Bryant and Pitt Brown. And so you've got guys back there, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity, as we say, that opens it up. But that's going to be interesting to see how that defensive backfield shakes out, how quickly some of those younger guys can get assimilated and and that grouping can come together, because like you said, that was something that, you look at the carryover and you look for that to improve. That's going to be kind of the question mark defensively. I agree with you completely. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think you and I have both mentioned the offensive line. That's going to be interesting to see how that comes together.
Well, there's some injury concerns on the offensive side. First of all, the biggest concern, of course, from everyone on the offensive side of the ball is the offensive line, where you've only got one returning starter. It looks now for sure like Darryl Baldwin from Solon is going to be the starting right tackle. We know that Pat Elflein is going to be the starting right guard. He had a couple of games under his belt from last year, the bowl game and the Michigan game. And really the contests on that line are at center and left guard, where you've got a number of kids competing. I think we're going to eventually see Billy Price from Austintown, Fitch, take one of those spots, probably the left guard spot, because it looks like Jacoby Bourne is pretty well entrenched now at center with the Lindsey, the transfer from Alabama, pushing him. But again, 4 of those 5 guys are 3.5, let's say, because of Elflein's little bit of experience, are unproven starters on the offensive line. So can that come around quick enough? But the big concern, especially in recent days, and maybe we're making more of it than is warranted, but Braxton Miller, he had a shoulder surgery. He had what Tom Herman called this morning a quote-unquote setback. That is, he's had more soreness in the shoulder from practice than they anticipated he would have, and they're being very cautious in managing that to make sure that he's ready on August 31st and not have any more setbacks between now and then. So they're limiting his passing in practice. Now they've had their starting running back, Ezekiel Elliott, hurt his wrist, had a surgery just last week on his wrist, had a pin put in. They said he was going to be back, in a week and a half, and that may be, but he's going to be playing with a cast. How's that going to affect him? So you've got a sore-arm quarterback and a starting tailback undergoing surgery. A tailback, they've got tons of depth, as you know, Jerry. Rod Smith, they say, has looked very good, the senior. Briante Dunn has looked good. Curtis Samuel, the true freshman from Brooklyn, is looking very, very good, and Meyer loves him. So we're going to see a lot of kids probably playing tailback, and it's the one place where they could afford maybe to have an injury situation. But Ezekiel Elliott's a special player, and if he's not going to be 100%, that's not a good thing. So anyway, we're going to see, the question marks on that side of the ball really are, it begins and ends with Braxton Miller. Is he healthy? Is he going to be get that arm strength? And they say there's nothing structurally wrong with the joint, the shoulder. It's a matter of building up the muscle bundle around that shoulder joint that is the cause of the soreness and is the thing that they're trying to manage and build it back up so that he is 100% when they kick it off against Navy.
Well, absolutely. As we know, that it goes beyond saying that's the key to everything right there, because if his situation changes, everything changes for the Buckeyes offensively there. And they say today, and I haven't heard anything yet, any updates. I don't think you have either here, but they say they were hoping today to see him kind of make a step forward and be able to alleviate some of the concern. Like you said, maybe it could be over concern at this point. You never know, but you'd much rather be over concerned than under concerned, So
and the other development, Jerry, this past couple of days is that the backup quarterback situation has kind of flipped a little bit. You probably read that Meyer has said that J.T. Barrett, the redshirt freshman from Texas, who had been running third string behind Cardale Jones, of course, the local boy from Glenville.
Yeah.
That has flipped, and Meyer has decided, and Herman have decided that they think the offense looks better, moves better with J.T. Barrett there under center than it does with Jones. And right now, if Braxton Miller was hurt, J.T. Barrett would probably be the first guy off the bench as the backup QB. So that's a change. That's something significant that's occurred. Or they just kind of announced that within the last couple of days that Barrett is the guy. And Barrett, for guys that haven't seen him, he kind of looks a little bit more like Troy Smith than he does Braxton. He's a little bit thicker through the middle. He's about 6'1", 225. Not as fast or as quick as Braxton, but fast enough, and probably a more durable runner. A little bit thicker through the hips and through the middle, and he's just a winner. They love him in terms of his attitude and his football IQ, and just a guy who's accurate with his arm. Doesn't have the strong arm that Braxton or Cardale Jones have, I should say, but he's accurate and he's quick.